Hey guys, it's me, Sess from Flourish, and I want to talk to you guys about porosity. Okay, so porosity is a topic that I feel like we've talked about porosity ever since natural hair became huge, especially on YouTube. But I want to give you my take on porosity. Why is it important, and what does porosity even mean, and how do I find mine? Let me tell you. Okay, so porosity, for one, is your hair's ability to absorb liquids. That doesn't just mean water. That means, how does my hair absorb color? How does my hair absorb conditioner? How does it absorb water? How does it absorb shampoo? How does it absorb stylers? So your porosity has to do with how well your hair absorbs liquids. So now that we know that, let's talk about high porosity. High porosity means your hair is a highly porous space, meaning it absorbs liquids really easy. But in the same return, it lets go of those liquids really easily. It's a very porous space. Let's think about some porous spaces. If you have a fabric couch, okay? And you pour red wine on the fabric couch, it's gonna absorb it really well. But it's also pretty easily to get it out of that fabric couch as well. You spray it, you wipe, and it comes right out of those threads pretty easily. That's how high porosity hair works. So let's look at it in terms of the cuticle. When we speak about porosity, we're actually talking about the cuticle layers. And there's a couple different ways your hair could be highly porous or low porosity. If your hair is highly porous, that means the cuticle layers that sit on the outer part of the hair are either lifted or pieces of the cuticle are missing, creating holes in the hair. Now, for your hair to have cuticle layers that are lifted, that means you're dealing with products that have a high pH and they're lifting the hair, because your hair is a 4.5, 5.5 on the pH scale. In water, it's a 7. So every time you wet your hair, you're lifting that cuticle for shampoo to go in and do its thing, for conditioner to go in and do its thing, and then it closes back down. But if your hair is left wet for entirely too long, that cuticle is going to be lifted. And entirely too long means for a full day, 2 days, 3 days, 4 days. Sometimes you can put your hair in a bun and your hair is wet for an extremely long amount of time, and it can lift your cuticle and get you to have porous hair, right? So another way that you can have high porosity hair is by getting color. Color comes in and blasts through the cuticle's getting all beat up, it's rumbling, and cuticle pieces are flying everywhere. Now you have holes in the cuticle, which allows for holes for moisture to go in and easily come out. That's another way. If you are harshly detangling your hair, that brush is in a fight with your cuticle. Cuticle pieces are flying everywhere, and now you're missing parts of your cuticle, which makes the hair porous. Does that make sense? Okay, so on the contrary, we have low porosity hair. Low porosity hair means all those cuticle layers are compacted on that cuticle. Literally, all the layers are laying right on top of each other. Like they are locked arm in arm, not letting anything into that cuticle. And that can lead to dehydration. A high porosity situation can lead to protein loss, but a low porosity situation can lead to dehydration because nothing can get in. So if your hair is low porosity, that means the water is trying to get through those layers and the layers are not budging. This could mean sometimes people have really thick cuticle layers. Sometimes people have lots of cuticle layers on top of each other, which is coarse strands. Whatever the case may be, low porosity hair is just super resistant to liquids getting in. So on the opposite, we want to try to lift that cuticle up a little bit so that we can enter in moisture into that. That's why steam treatments are really great for low porosity hair, because it swells it. But that's also why water is really good for low porosity hair, because it swells the cuticle. I had another video where I talked about my daughter's hair being dehydrated and how water sits on top of it and just will not go in. And everybody's like, isn't that the same as low porosity hair? Yes, ma'am. That's why a lot of people struggle that have low porosity hair. They struggle with dehydration because it's impossible for that water to get in. That's why getting on a really good shampoo condition regimen frequently helps low porosity hair fight that dehydration struggle, because it lifts the cuticle often so that we can swell it so that water can get in the hair. It's very much correlated there. Now, normal porosity is where you want to be, okay? That is hair that absorbs well, holds it when it's supposed to, and lets go well, okay? It is not one of those things. I look at normal porosity hair as a good relationship, okay? Let me come to you freely. You love me, but when it's time to let go, we let go peacefully. You're not stalking me. You're not breaking windows. You ain't doing the most. You're letting me go easily. You know what I mean? And you're holding on well. It's a really good balanced situation. So that's how we look at porosity. I hope that gives you a little bit of clarity. There is no possible way you can drop water into a cup and figure out your porosity. Only because, as that being the porosity test way back when natural was like first coming, it was a thing, you can't test it that way simply because some hair strands are heavier than others, some are thicker than others, and it's gonna sink to the bottom. It doesn't mean you're highly porous. It just means my hair strand could be a lot heavier than yours. Coarse strands are heavier than fine strands, so of course they're gonna fall to the bottom. So when you are trying to test porosity, it's really going to be about your cuticle. How is my cuticle? Does my hair have damage? Is my hair color treated? Does my hair struggle with split ends? Is my hair swelled and my texture is a little off? Those things usually indicate higher porosity hair. Styles don't last well because my hair frizzes out really easily. I experience breakage because my hair is just, the chips out of my cuticle is making my hair weak, so it breaks off. These are different characteristics of high porosity. Low porosity just means your hair can be really dehydrated really easily. Products sit on top of the hair and don't insert into the hair, and you always feel like you have a coating over it. So there's different things. We'll talk more about that in different videos that I make, and I'll actually show you guys some visuals so you can see that up close. But I hope that helps you better understand porosity.